Our first presenter is John Lay. He's a GIS analyst in the Division of Emergency Management, Risk Management. His projects include the Integrated Risk Program, Lidar collection, and spatial data download. John.
Hi. Oh my God. All right. I hate mics, and I'm from a theater background, so if it gets too loud, tell me to drop it down, because I project naturally. How many of you are aware of, this is so hard, are aware that we are now in our second statewide LiDAR collection? This should be pretty much everybody when we presented it multiple times. All right, so with this new LiDAR collection, the data became so large that we needed a new way to distribute it. Because previously, when somebody needed some of our data, they would ask for a specific tile, which wasn't a problem because the tile size for a 10,000 by 10,000 3-meter post-spacing LiDAR tile is about 200 meg. The second collection is now 2 points per square meter. They got so large with so many points, we actually had to cut them in quarters. So it went from 10,000 by 10,000, 5,000 by 5,000. But they remained 200 megs a piece, minimum. So we actually have some files that go all the way up to about 700 megs. And that's so many points that most software cannot load them, or some of the older, particularly the AutoCAD software, cannot load that many points and actually visualize them. So we decided that what we wanted to do was to find an easier way to distribute the data, particularly for engineers who needed to download or needed just a very small specific area, maybe a couple square miles, maybe a couple acres, that they could go to a website, find their area, and download that without ever having to mess with an entire huge file that most of it they would not even need. The solution was the Spatial Data Download site, which is here, which is on my computer and nobody else's. There we go. I'm just going to do it without the slideshow. So this is our spatial data download site. The address is RMP, the Risk Management Portal, .nc.gov/SDD. You will need an NCID to access it, but if you look here, you don't have an NCID, you can go get one. And anyone can get one. You don't have to be state government. I just created one the other day for the purposes of this that I will use, because as a administrator of this website, when I log in, I get something completely different. So, yes, that's not right. Not for this site. So the first time you log in, it's going to ask you to verify your information. Your name, email address, phone number if you choose to provide it, your company or organization, and you have a drop down here, the private sector, education, government, so on and so forth. I'm going to do private sector, save account information. Okay. All right. I guess this is a one-time thing. It should, this is still in beta, so we do have a couple kinks to work out. this is what you should be presented with after you log in and save your information. And basically, it's what data do you want to download? Originally, this was just for LiDAR, but we decided to expand it to the other data that we provide. So we have hazards, which would be the flood zones. This data here, the flood zones, is actually available on this site and on our Frizz site. Is that right? You can go to either place to get it. The base data, which would be our LiDAR, our elevation data, which is the DEMS, and our legacy LiDAR. The legacy LiDAR currently, if you want the legacy, which would be the original statewide 3-meter post spacing, 2001 to 2005 data, it currently still just sends you to an FTP site. We are in the process of trying to make it so you can download the data the same way you do the QL2. We also have built environments. So this is where you can get building polygons, school points, and whatever information that we decide that we can plug into this for download. For this demonstration, though, I want to do the LiDAR. And if you look at the map, we have 3 colored sections. The orange is phase 1, phase 2. The purple is phase 3. Phase 1 and phase 2 were flown together at the same time. USGS was responsible for phase 1. NC Emergency Management, Risk Management Office was responsible for phase 2. Phase 3 is emergency management again. We are in the process of flying phase 4, which goes to about here. And then phase 5, we are flying now, if everything doesn't bloom. So you have several different options you can choose. You can download a tile at a time. You can download by county, draw a box, or draw area. If you do tile at a time, select anywhere in the colored area where we actually have data, and it'll give you this option. What do you want to download? Do you want to download just the bare earth, or do you want to download individual classes? And you submit the request, and you get a pop-up telling you that your request has been submitted, that it may take up to 24 hours. So basically what the application does is that every 15 minutes it goes and grabs another request. And you are able to download as much data that the application can handle within that 15 minutes, which roughly translates to about a gig worth of points. You can also draw a box. Let's see if I can get to a smaller area. All right. These are the individual tiles, so you can see them here. If you do too big of an area, let's see if this one is too big. Your area is selected is too big. Please select a smaller area or do a large data request. So we're just going to do a couple of tiles here. Just in this box. Again, with the pop-up, what do you want? Submit request. Actually, this time I just want to do the individual classes. I only want the ground and the roads. Submit my request. And another request shows up down in your list. Now, if I wanted to go select additional data, perhaps maybe in the built environment or the hazard information, there's a checkbox up here. If it's checked, you can use that same box you just used. So if let's do schools, because the building service is not behaving properly right now. You can select whether or not you want it in a file geodatabase or a shapefile. You submit the job, again with your pop-up showing that it's processing. And when it's done, you will actually get a leak within that window. The draw area works exactly the same. You draw a small area, you select, so on and so forth. With the county, however, if you're going to be doing LiDAR, it's going to send you to the large data request. And the reason is you don't want to download 500 gigs worth of data over the internet. It's just too much data. We can't host it, and it will take you forever to download it. So we have a large data request in the top bar. The large data request starts out with the drop-down. You select, your single county. You select multiple counties. Alamance County. Let's do Orange as well. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Orange. And then you can specify whether or not you want the QL2 LiDAR or the legacy LiDAR. We will do both if you want both. We will do only one if you want one. There should be a section here for additional notes. It's kind of squashed on the screen. All right, so description and special instructions. Basically, in this box, you tell us what exactly it is that you want. Unfortunately, we cannot so if you only need the bare earth and you're doing a large data request, unfortunately, we cannot provide that to you. It is exceptionally time-consuming to re-export these tiles and to maintain the different layers as separate files is just too much space to store. But we will send you anything you want. Just write it in that box. Return address, city, North Carolina, submit the job, and it will send an email to you, and it will submit an email to me. Then you mail your hard drive to us and the address that's provided to you in the email that you receive. We will fill it up and we'll send it back. It's usually about a 2-week turnaround. If you look down, you look down at the bottom, there's a button that says you can review your history, request history. You also have this up here under my account, under my requests. So these are all the requests that I just made. So I have, this is the first one, which is the single tile. I can download this tile. I don't know where it's downloading to, but it's downloading. It's showing me that I still have a pending with the large data request. We just submitted that. We haven't sent the drive back. When we receive your drive, we'll change that from drive from pending to drive received. And when we finish the drive, we will change it from drive received to complete. And you will get an email notification each time. We are also still pending on our box. The data has been shipped here. See if I can go. Download. Now, works a little differently here than it does back in the office. You have to be careful with navigating away from this window. Typically what happens when you navigate it this way and you have the requests in the bottom, it will pop open a new window and you usually go back and find your window. I don't see it here though. But that email request of the buildings or the schools that we did, and it says order has been delivered, you will have received an email with a download link that you can go and download that information. My account, I don't know what I think it just broke it. So if you just click on my account, it's going to take you back. You can fill out your information again. I showed you my requests. Was there anything specific that you guys wanted to see here? It's actually a very straightforward website. If you're not afraid to press buttons, you'll pretty much find anything you want in there. Yes, sir. The building footprints are statewide. Yeah. We just updated those a couple weeks ago, and we didn't put the extract service on the service. So you'll receive an error currently. We are in the process of republishing that service. It will work right. Yes, sir. All right. So the first question was if they're a statewide building layer, whether or not the buildings were a statewide building layer. Yes, they are a statewide building layer. The second question is whether the building layer is based off of aerials. So the building layer that is currently in there is, yes, they are based off the aerial photography. They were collected in 2010 based on the best available imagery that we had at the time. So they were head digitized. This is prior to the 911 collection. So I think there's only 2 counties, Wake County and maybe Durham, that actually have 2010 imagery that was used. Going forward, now that we have this new QL2 and the QL1 LiDAR, we will be extracting the buildings from the LiDAR and doing a compare analysis so that we can remove the buildings that aren't there anymore and add the new buildings that are. Anyone else? Yes, sir, ma'am. Which one? The building footprints from the extracted services. It is an ongoing process. So as we are still trying to figure out the best way to do it. So one of the issues that we're running into with the building footprints extracted from the LiDAR is that we get these great, wonderful blobs when you do the building extraction. That traces a very irregular polygon around the building points. But then going in to square those, it kind of gets weird. And then you have communities that have buildings that are extremely close together. And so finding the right parameters to separate those buildings and say that these are distinct buildings is something that we're trying to resolve right now. But from the preliminary tests that we've done, it's actually been very interesting to see the process. I was in a session this morning, and Edgery is working on their building extraction using some other methods that we might look into as well. But this is phase 4 is the first time we've actually contracted to have the building change as a deliverable to us. The first 3 phases was kind of a wait and see, and this time we decided, no, we want you guys to do it so that we get a final product back. So the phase 4 and the phase 5, they are QL2 LiDAR. They are actually, instead of being 2 points per square meter, they're 8 points per square meter. So it's a much denser data set. The plan is actually, if we can secure funding, once we've finished 5, to go back and refly phases 1, 2, and 3 with the 8 points per square meter. So we will probably hold out on updating those buildings with the new data.
We'll have time for more questions and discussion after the other speakers. So thank you, John. Good job.